Welcome back to Ox Tools. I'm Tom. So you guys asked for it. Here it is. We got an episode of Meatloaf. And for those of you who don't know, Meatloaf is kind of a mixed bag, different subjects, different shop-related items. And so there's usually something in there for everybody. And so I just wanted to say, yeah, amazing. I put out 2 videos in less than a month, which is a record at this point. But I just wanted to say thank you for all the folks that commented on my last video. I was pretty amazed at how many comments there were, and I certainly appreciate everybody wishing me well and seeing me back on the video horse, so to speak. So let's quit yapping and let's go look at some cool shop stuff. Okay, this is an interesting one here. So this comes to me from a longtime viewer and subscriber, Larry McGuire. And he, you know what, I don't recall where he acquired this, but he contacted me recently and said, hey, listen, I'm thinning my pile out of stuff that I'm not using and that I'd like to go to a place where it might get used. So anyway, here it is. And what we have here, it's pretty interesting because I've heard of these but never actually seen one. So what we have, let's open her up, is and you can read it, it's a glass surface plate. So it's actually made out of glass. So let's take a peek at this thing. It's in this nice wood box, right? It's got a little cleaning cloth. It's got some dust and stuff in it, but we can take care of that. So there it is. It has what I don't know is, are both sides good? That's what I don't know. So one side has these light grooves in it, which actually makes some sense if you've used surface plates before, because this allows a place for any dust that's on the surface. There's a little smudge there. Any dust that's on the surface to actually come out from underneath the gauge and have a place to go instead of riding around between the gauge and or the surface gauge, whatever it is, and the surface plate. So what is this, like 12 inches square, something like that? Yeah, it's about 12, a little less than 12 square. Let's pop it out here. It's a little tricky to get out. It's got some little set it down gently here. It's got some little hand cutouts here, as you can see, to make it easier to get out. And this side seems pretty good too, but like I said, I'm not sure if this side is flat as well. And it does have an accuracy stamp on it. And it has an overall accuracy of 0.2, which I would assume to be over the length or the size of the plate. So Larry, thank you very much for sending this. This is pretty cool. And my understanding of the impetus behind making things like this out of glass is during World War II there was a shortage of alloying materials for steels to make high-grade steels and stuff. So there was a experimental program where they were making gauges and tools out of glass, which they had a lot of sand and silica around that was pretty abundant. So they explored, I think the military sponsored a study on making some of these kinds of things out of glass. I've seen some pictures in books of glass thread gauges and taper gauges and things like that, but never seen a glass surface plate. So there it is, a glass surface plate. Larry, thanks again. This is pretty cool. So maybe we'll put it on a known good surface plate, and we'll sweep over the top of this and kind of see what it looks like. It's actually in really nice condition. It's got some just minor little Actually, those scratches might be on the opposite side. I'll have to clean it real well and see. But it actually, now that I'm looking at it, looks like the scratches are on the opposite side. This side seems to be pretty good. So pretty cool. Actually, you know what? Let's get our next item out, and which actually happens to go on a surface plate. And this is another tool I wanted to show you guys. Yeah, I don't know, feels like a surface plate to me. It does feel different though. It does feel different than the granite. It's hard to describe how it feels different. How would I quantify that? All right, anyway, interesting. So hey, maybe we'll just roll right into this one here. So this came from, I bought a box full of tools and things like that from an estate sale up in the hills up here near where I live. It was a ranch that was downsizing, but they had the guy had a little lathe and a mill and some equipment in a metal building, and this was in there, and it was pretty rusty. I cleaned it up, but I had never seen. Actually, you know what? This is not going to be an appropriate surface plate for this because this thing's magnetic, and that's kind of what I wanted to show you too. But anyhow, so I cleaned it all up, and I just kind of fell in love with this thing because it's a really cool little tool. So it's magnetic. It's got a nice switch. It's made by Lufkin, and Lufkin kind of flies under the radar a little bit on eBay and with tool collectors a little bit, I think anyway. Not quite as popular as Brown and Sharp and Starrett and things like that, but Lufkin is every bit as good as those brands, and they made some kind of unique stuff. Mighty Mite was one of them. They have it was a line of magnetic indicator holders and things like that, but this one's kind of unique in that it's a surface gauge built into a switchable magnet. Most of the Mighty Mites are just straight up magnets. I probably have one around here somewhere, but heck if I know where it is. But anyway, this one's switchable, which is kind of neat, and it has a little V in the bottom so you can put it on round stuff. And it has a hardened base on it too. This is hard steel instead of soft steel, so at least I'm pretty sure it's hard. Anyhow, it's just, I don't know. My favorite part on this thing are these little cutouts here. So from actually, let's close this up here. I don't want to mess that thing up. We can go on top here. And my favorite part are these little cutouts here. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but what it is they took an end mill, I don't know, I'd say 1.5 inch diameter that had a corner radius, and then they came in at a little angle like this to make a reentrant gripping surface. So it's further in at the bottom than it is at the top. So when your hand grabs down there, it doesn't slide up because you're grabbing in further. So it's just the reason I like it is very simple. It's easy to do, right? And it looks really good. And it actually works really well. So anyway, just me nerding out over little tool details. But anyway, I found a snug that worked on this shaft. It didn't have a snug, but all the important stuff was there. Well, the snug's important, but this snug matches reasonably well here. But it had the knob, and it had the post, and the little gripper bits and all that, and all the springs were there. And after cleaning it up, it works beautifully. So anyway, Mighty Mite by Lufkin, magnetic surface gauge. Very, very cool. All right, I want to talk about Anchor Lube a little bit. So some of you folks out there are using this product, and it's actually a pretty good product. They sent me some for testing and whatnot, and Anchor Lube folks are real nice. They also sent me some special wax for sawing, but we'll talk about that in another episode. In particular, this is my favorite material for copper because it doesn't stain copper and it washes off real nicely. All that said and done, it works great for tapping, it works great for a bunch of things. My gripe or complaint is the dispensing systems for Anchor Lube. So here's kind of your choices, right? You got a squeeze bottle that you open up, you squirt some out, and then you close this, and then you end up with a little nipple of wet Anchor Lube on that. Or you can get the jar, and you can see that's the one I use the most. If you forget to close this up, it dries out, and then there's nowhere to put a brush, so your brush gets pretty narfy like this. Okay, these are I'm nitpicking here. Okay, and then when you empty these out, here's the refill. But when you go to refill, unless it's like a blazing hot day, that's what you get. You get water out, and you got to squeeze this in a bear hug to get anything to come out of here. So like I said, my gripes have to do with the dispensing of this material. This works good for taps, but not good for parting and applying small amounts. So this works better for applying small amounts, but is not necessarily good for parting and getting down in that groove, things like that. Actually, this is bugging me now. This little this little puddle here. So before I put my elbow in that and really get annoyed, let's clean that up. Okay. So what to do? What do you do? I want to use the product because I like it, and but I'm just not happy with the dispensers. So I've done a couple of things. I played around with some different methodologies, and what I've come up with that I want to share with you guys, if you're using this product, or if Anchor Lube's listening, and maybe they'll offer a dispenser that looks like this. And what these are just refillable syringes and a hand pump off of Amazon. And so if I already have to refill this, it's pretty easy to refill these. And now what I can do is I can dispense a precise amount. Okay. Once again, making a mess, right? I can dispense a precise amount without a bunch of drips and a bunch of excess, right? The other thing I can do with this is I can go down into the parting groove with this, or down a deep hole, okay? Which this doesn't do. You can't go down a deep hole with this, and you can't go down a deep hole with that. Like a tapped hole, I can go, what is that, 2 inches or something like that, right? 50 millimeters down a hole, and give it a little, get a little shot of liquid love down at the bottom of the hole, which is where you need it when you're drilling a deep hole or whatever. So these just, let's see if I remember how to do this. Okay, I can retract that, and this just comes out. So you can fill those ahead of time, drop them in, lock it in, and then off to the races. So little cheap setup off Amazon. You get the pumper and a couple of these. I want to say it's $9, and then you can get 6 more of these for another $5 or something like that. And if I think of it, I'll put the link to the Amazon thing that I bought in the description, so you guys can grab one of these. But this could work well for a lot of things. Greases, thread lockers, maybe. Although I don't know about thread lockers, but anything that you have to dispense kind of in a precise fashion at a precise location would be a good use of something like this. Anyway, Anchor Lube, thanks for sending the goodies. I appreciate it. This stuff works great. I'm happy about that. But let's work together on your dispensers and get those up to the 21st century. How about that? So what we got here is a repair project, and this comes to me from my friend Howard Reynolds, who is in Decatur, Illinois. And I met Howard through his daughter-in-law, Lena, who reached out to me via email and said, hey, would you mind giving Howard a call and chatting with him on the phone? He's got a problem. And now that was I don't know, that was a few months ago at least. And he sent me a little care package, and we talk on the phone, I don't know, a couple times a month now. So Howard is he used to be, he's retired now, used to be an operating engineer, which is cranes, excavators, bulldozers, stuff like that. He helped build the Clinton nuclear power plant up there in Illinois. So anyway, so Howard's got a shaper. He's got a G&E shaper. I think it's a 16-inch, and it's got some problems. And this is the, I believe this is the power downfeed mechanism on that shaper. And I guess that shaper was in a maintenance shop and not treated too nicely apparently. And so it's got some sick parts. This thing's not behaving itself. Well, excuse me. Anyway, I think I see what's going on here, and we're going to take this apart. Howard sent me some other goodies here too. He filled the box up with stuff. There's some carbide burrs that he sent, and I guess he bought a couple of lots at some auctions or something, and he ended up with a whole bunch of duplicates. So Howard, thank you very much. These are cool. These long ones in particular, these are kind of nice, and I certainly appreciate the little goodies there. So those are nice. But let's take a look at his shaper thing. So I think this looks like the issue to me here. This thing should be trued up with the world here. It's sitting at an angle, and it looks like this part of the casting was broken, and they welded it up, and maybe didn't get the hole quite straight again or something. So let's pop this apart and see what we're up against here. Probably not going to repair it in this video, but we can certainly get eyes on this and see what needs to happen, and get a plan together and go from there. So let's pop this off. So according to the diagram here, it looks like it comes apart pretty easy here. We're just gonna pop this set screw out of here and see what happens here. Make sure there's no springs or anything they're gonna jump out and get me, right? Okay, so this sits in a conical seat there, and okay, it's not super tight. Use my portable snap-on pry bar here. All right, so it's a little tighter than that. Probably have to get something else here to get in there. Yeah, I'm at a bad angle now. Let me get some. Let me get two pry bars or two screwdrivers. Oh, there's a spring in there. Oh, I see. That's the. Well, that'll be interesting to get back in there. I felt it wiggling. I thought it did. What I really want. There we go. Alright, let's keep the little parts together. Alright, let's take a look at this little monkey here. Oh yeah. Alright. Let's that come out? That could probably come out. Okay, it comes out that way. It's a little plunger there. Looks like one of the coils on the spring corroded off. Yeah, okay, this thing's pretty jacked up. Not an impossible part to make. It would take a little bit of work, but a repair actually probably makes the most sense here, because it's just, from the looks of things here, it's just this ear that's injured here. So so these, let's see, what's Mr. Diagram say here? Okay, there's the deal. So it looks like this pin just gets knocked out, and then it's probably just press fit. This looks like it's kind of mushroomed over a little bit, so I might, what might I do? It's always a question. It's not a taper pin. Okay, so what I'd probably do is tap on that with a drive pin punch a little bit and see what happens, and then we can get a look at this part. So anyway, that's what needs to happen. Like I said, we're not going to repair it in this video, but this appears to be, it's cast, so this might be a, yeah, that's cast iron. This is probably going to be some kind of braze repair here. Grind this off or grind it out or whatever, and then build it up and remachine it in some braze material is probably the attack for that. So anyway, stay tuned. And Howard, thanks for the goodies. I appreciate it. I can make good use of these. And we'll see what we can do to get your shaper back on the road.